International Asteroid Warning Network just activated for Atlas, and if you understand what IAWN actually is, you'll realize how extraordinary that decision was. IAWN is a United Nations-endorsed worldwide collaboration of observatories and astronomers created for one specific purpose: detecting and tracking objects that could threaten human civilization. Not interesting objects, not scientific curiosities, extinction-level threats. They exist to prevent what happened to the dinosaurs from happening to us, and they just activated a 3-month intensive monitoring campaign for an object that cannot possibly impact Earth. Let me explain what IAWN activation means, what it costs, and why this has never happened before for an interstellar object. IAWN was established in 2014 by the United Nations Committee on the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space. It coordinates the efforts of space agencies, observatories, and research institutions across every continent. When IAWN activates, it means dozens of professional observatories worldwide redirect their telescopes toward a single target for coordinated observation. This isn't cheap. Professional observatory time costs between $10,000 to $50,000 per night depending on the facility. Ground-based telescopes, space-based instruments, spectroscopic analysis, data processing, personnel coordination across time zones and languages. When IAWN conducts a multi-month campaign, you're looking at millions of dollars in redirected resources, telescope time that could be studying distant galaxies, exoplanets, stellar evolution, all focused on one object. They don't do this lightly. They don't do this often. In fact, prior to Atlas, IAWN has never activated for an interstellar object. Never. IAWN campaigns are typically reserved for near-Earth asteroids with non-zero impact probabilities. Objects like Apophis, which will pass extremely close to Earth in 2029. Objects that might, under certain gravitational scenarios, pose collision risk decades in the future. The activation criteria are strict. Does the object threaten Earth? Can we track it accurately enough to predict its path? Do we need coordinated global observation to refine orbit calculations and assess danger? Atlas meets exactly one of those criteria. We need coordinated observation to understand it, but it threatens Earth only if you expand the definition of threat beyond physical impact. Atlas will pass 1.8 astronomical units from Earth on December 19th. That's 269 million kilometers, nearly twice the distance to the Sun. There is zero possibility of collision, none. The orbital mechanics are clear. So why did IAWN activate? On October 21, 2025, during Atlas's solar conjunction, IAWN made an announcement. They were initiating a campaign from November 27th through January 27th, 2026 to exercise the capability of the observing community to extract accurate astrometry from Atlas. Language is careful, technical, but the implication is clear. They're not tracking Atlas to prevent impact. They're tracking it to understand what it is. This decision follows a white paper submitted to the United Nations on September 30th by Avi Loeb and colleagues. That paper explicitly advocated for coordinating global research on interstellar objects like Atlas, because they could pose a threat to humanity if they happen to carry alien technology. 3 weeks later, IAWN activated. This represents a fundamental shift in how planetary defense operates. For the first time, a UN-endorsed defense network is treating an object as a potential threat, not because it might impact us, but because of what it might be and what it might do. The threat isn't collision. The threat is contact. The threat is technology. The threat is encountering something we don't understand operating in our cosmic neighborhood with capabilities we can't predict. IAWN's activation means dozens of observatories are now coordinating to track Atlas's exact trajectory. measuring velocity changes down to meters per second, monitoring for deviations from gravitational predictions, watching for maneuvers or component releases, or any behavior that indicates active guidance. This is expensive. This is unprecedented. And this is happening because the scientific and defense communities have determined that Atlas's anomalies justify treatment as a potential threat despite zero collision risk. The campaign runs through January 27, 2026. 3 full months of intensive coordinated global observation. Millions of dollars, hundreds of observatory hours, international cooperation at the highest level, all for an object that cannot hit us, but might be something we've never encountered before. IAWN activation means the United Nations takes Atlas seriously. It means planetary defense protocols are being applied to potential technological threats, not just natural impact hazards. It means humanity is watching, tracking, and preparing for possibilities that transcend conventional asteroid defense. This is the first time, but it probably won't be the last, because if Atlas teaches us anything, it's that threats from space don't always come in the form we expected. The activation is official, the campaign is underway, and the world is watching what Atlas does next.